The industry right now, which is exciting, is moving from a product-driven world to really a client-centric one.
Welcome to Knowing Me, Knowing You, the podcast for the future of wealth management. Thanks for being here. I'm Marla Sofer. Money is a tool. It empowers people. Let's dive into how technology is personalizing advice, strengthening connections, and creating lasting impact. If you're an advisor looking to differentiate, a fintech leader shaping the next wave, or a client ready to take control of your financial future, you're in the right place. Let's get started. All right. Hello, and welcome to the Knowing Me, Knowing You podcast. The Know Me podcast, where we explore the art and science of discovery to build meaningful connections in financial planning. Cheryl Nash and I met in 2019 when I attended a Fiserv conference as a client of its Cash Edge product. I went to the conference looking for connections and deeper education. Everyone told me that if I wanted to learn about wealth tech, I had to talk to Cheryl. 5 different people, at least, right when I got there, were like, you've got to go and talk to Cheryl Nash. She's your person. So I have been incredibly fortunate to connect and reconnect with Cheryl through our passion for wealth tech and improving client experiences and meeting the evolving needs, especially for females as clients, advisors, and technologists. Cheryl is the president of APL at InvestCloud. She is a powerhouse in the financial services industry. With 30 years of experience, she is incredibly respected, an expert in financial industry trends and challenges. She's known for her consultative approach, and she has fostered enduring client relationships. A lot of people I know have been working with Cheryl literally for 30 straight years. Her leadership journey includes, she's the president of Fiserv Investment Services for 12 years. She was the CEO of Tegra 118 and InvestCloud's financial supermarket for over 3 years. She has been a champion for diversity in education. She served on the Money Management Institute's Board of Governors, co-chaired its DEI community, led the award-winning Women in Wealth Management Initiative, empowering women to excel in their financial careers. She's also on the Females in Finance Advisory Board and an executive advisory board member at AssetMap. She has loads of accolades, from MMI Pioneer Award to Think Advisor's Top Women in Wealth Tech, Women in Wealth Management Award for Career Excellence. Cheryl's passion for innovation, advocacy, and empowering others shines through her trailblazing career. And not only that, she is absolutely lovely. She's the most incredible person, and everyone I know who has ever worked for Cheryl has told me she is the absolute best leader that they have ever worked for. So Cheryl, I am humbled to invite you to the Knowing Me, Knowing You podcast. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Well, now I have to make sure my mom listens to this. That was so nice, Marla. Thank you so much. I'm actually really excited to be here. Big supporter in what you're doing as well. So common appreciation.
Awesome. Thank you. So I say this to everyone, you truly have had an incredible career. What excites you about the moment that we're in right now and the evolution of client experiences in wealth management and wealth tech?
That is such a great question. There's so much going on right now, as you know, right? Leading a wealth tech firm. I know, working with so many clients, but I'll say what excites me the most just about this moment, right, is really the evolution of the client experience. It's convergence of technology, it's personalization, it's accessibility. We're seeing just this major shift where clients expect the same seamless, intuitive experience in wealth management that they get in other aspects of their digital lives. And you know this well, right, with what you're building. I mean, AI, you can't talk to anybody in our industry without the topic of AI coming up. Data analytics and how important data is. You know, automation, they're really enabling a hyper-personalized advice at scale, which is really making sophisticated investment strategies more accessible than ever, which is so exciting for us because these are the things we've been working on for many, many years. But at the same time, the platforms are becoming more integrated. A goal is really to reduce friction for both advisors and clients. I mean, there's so much swivel chair that continues to go on in our industry where data isn't all connected. That needs to happen. There's a really incredible amount of innovation that's driving a deeper, more meaningful client advisor relationship. There's a big need for better personalized data around that investor. All of this expands financial access in ways that weren't possible before. So I think that it's really an exciting time. There's a lot of change. AI is driving a lot of that change, and data is really critical in making sure that that change happens.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And I feel like creating better experiences, not only for the customer, but for the people who are hoping to help deliver a better experience to the customer. So everyone within the supply chain that is trying to improve what they're giving.
It's an amazing time right now. We're lucky to be part of it.
Yes. So share a little bit about the through line in your career journey and how you came to, I think you're kind of like the OG. You're like the beginning as it relates to separately managed accounts and just managed accounts generally. Like managed accounts has always been something that you have led and been the spearhead of this for a lot of different companies. And then it became really sexy recently. All of these companies are like, we're kind of managed accounts. We're the private office for everyone. But you've been in it, I think, for so long. So
Right.
if you can share a little bit about your through line and your journey and how it brought you to now be president of APL at InvestCloud.
I love that you said it's become sexy again. It has. I mean, the through line of my career, it's always been about leveraging technology to drive meaningful change. And I think that's really like when I think about what we do is we solve the most complex technology problems for the industry. I also think about how we connect this managed account industry because there's two sides to it. There's asset managers and wealth managers. But when I started out and I started really recognizing how inefficient and complex wealth management and technology really was, and I really became focused on how technology can create better outcomes for both advisors, asset managers, and their clients, right? So that's been important, right? How do we better and automate more through technology? Also, I've had the opportunity to build and scale platforms. I've led transformational initiatives, and I feel very lucky because I work with incredible teams and people. I work with incredible clients, help strategically align where they're going with our technology. And I just feel like this industry is made up of very smart people, the smartest minds. And I think pulling them all together and having great networks like with yourself really helps get that vision for me and really drives me forward. I just love that. I also have been fortunate to work at the same company my entire career, which not many people can say. It's been a different company. There's been 4 different acquisitions. I've gone through many different leaders, but through it all, I worked my way up to president, a role that I'm so proud of. I think APL for me personally, it's a natural fit. It sits at the intersection of managed accounts, like you said, SMA, UMA, like that whole world that's becoming sexy. It also sits in trading, investment solutions, like those areas that I think innovation can truly enhance both the advisor, the asset manager, and the client experience. So that when I think about my through line, it's really that, but also driving the next wave of evolution. So there's a lot of capabilities that I think still need change, right? They need to be expanded. The industry needs to understand how to deepen partnerships and build partnerships, and then making sure that you have the best solutions that asset managers and wealth managers can leverage for managed accounts. So it's exciting. There's a lot going on in our industry. I'm energized by these opportunities. And I think just being in this industry my entire career, helping power this industry my entire career, and really working with the best clients and the best people has really made this really an exciting for me and really shaped me in how I'm doing this and what I'm doing.
You are absolutely a super connector. So having been at many conferences with you, you are the person that like people are standing in line to chat with. And you certainly are great at giving of yourself and helping other people understand who they should be talking to as they're looking at evolving their careers, their companies, whatever they're looking to achieve. And you don't only know the surface layer, you often know a lot deeper than what everyone else knows about what everyone is up to, which I've found incredibly impressive and just really inspiring about you.
Thank
So
you.
how have you seen the SMAs and UMAs, managed accounts generally, have evolved since their early days? And what are the most significant changes that you see as it relates to client expectations for personalization? So we know that, clients have these high demands, but what are they going to be seeing?
Right. That's a great question. And it's an interesting time now to think about that, right? With what's going on in the world and just where the whole, we're going to talk about the wealth transfer and all those things. But I think, UMAs, SMAs, they have evolved, especially UMAs. I think SMAs have found a great home and they're very important for the investor and the advisor and the asset managers. But I think they've evolved really from being niche, high net worth solutions to becoming more scalable, accessible, really across the whole wealth spectrum. And that's the way we think about them, right? Like, how do you make it more accessible across a whole wealth spectrum? So I think early on, the SMAs, they were largely about giving investors direct ownership of securities with some level of customization. They were expensive, they were operationally complex. And then that's when UMAs came into play, right? So you didn't have separate accounts. You had one account that had multiple strategies, and we call those different strategies sleeves. So they emerged as a way to consolidate multiple strategies, asset classes, tax efficiencies into a single account structure, which is less expensive, better for the investor, and actually gives the advisor a better way to manage an entire portfolio. But I'll say the biggest transformation, and you won't be surprised to hear this, comes from technology. Advances in AI, automation, data analytics, they've really made it possible. And that's stuff that we've been very focused on to deliver mass personalization at scale, something that was really, I'd say, nearly impossible before. So clients expect, they expect more than just asset allocation. They want portfolios aligned with their goals, their values, tax sensitivities, risk preferences, all those things that you know well, Marlon, what you're building. They want it all seamlessly integrated and they want it to be optimized continuously. So I think the industry right now, which is exciting, is moving from a product-driven world to really a client-centric one, where technology enables hyper-personalized portfolios that adapt dynamically over time. So it's a whole different way of looking at things, right? We were very product-centric. Now go to that, and this is what you're building. Go to that client centricity so you know exactly what your clients want and how those portfolios are really customized to what they're looking for. And I just say, it's like we just say it too at InvestCloud. It's not just customization, but it's really intelligence where data plays such a big role in this, and portfolios evolve as clients' lives evolve, as market conditions evolve, as goals change. So that you have to have a platform that can actually support all that. And the UMA construct enables that in a way that SMAs didn't before. And I just think there's this is what we're really excited about. Another huge area that's changing is around private markets, bringing alternative investments down to the retail investor. So how you can do that today in a scalable way is in a UMA, because it becomes another asset class. So investors can have access to asset classes that they couldn't before because it was mostly really targeted to the ultra high net worth. Yeah. APL has really been driving how we can actually take a private markets or an alternative investment and put it into a UMA construct. And then the asset managers are driving the minimums down to 100,000, 200,000, where in the past they were millions. So there's a whole bunch of exciting things and innovation happening in our industry, and how that's going to be able to support and drive SMA, UMA to the next level, but also drive the advisor to be able to give the investor really what they want. And I think we're getting started with firms like what you're doing, what we're doing. Like, think about all that. We're just getting started.
Yeah, I love it. And I agree with so much of what you said. I'm so ready and excited for this shift from product to client centricity. And I think it's amazing, this kind of becoming sexy again of the UMA is because the widget idea is actually already there, and it can help you give you the broader menu, the access to the private markets or other asset classes that need to be incorporated in this one single client, wrapper that recognizes what that client needs are. And so you've been in that world for so long. And I love that it's like coming into this new era, empowered and enabled by tech, cloud computing, all these things that are making it cheaper and more accessible to integrate the data. Right. So our industry is not one of the fastest to evolve. And so what have been some of those challenges that you faced when you are introducing transformative tech? And you've been on this UMA bandwagon, for a very long time. And so how have you faced introducing this transformative technology? No, guys, it really should be in one wrapper for a really long time.
No, I love that question as well. I think about transformative technologies. We live in a conservative industry, right? Just because of the regulations and all the things around that. But there's been some challenges to become more transformative. And I think, we've had to evolve, right? Because some of the legacy technologies out there, firms are so reliant on that. So we've had to evolve in putting new user experience and new dashboards and new things in front of our clients that are change the way they do things. Still on a very scalable platform, but it does come with challenges, right? There's so much relying on legacy systems. Some of these systems make it hard to integrate. There's new technologies out there that are really, I think, in support of helping that, around APIs and data and AI, like we talked about. But I think that if there's resistance, I think that the real focus on being more operationally effective, doing more with less, right? That's another trend that we see. Technology is going to have to enable that. And that's something that a UMA construct actually does, right? It really helps modernize the experience for the investor and the advisor because they can see holistically across an account. So it's getting easier to convince the industry of that. I think people are much more open and ready to move to that, especially when you think about private markets and some of the newer asset classes that are coming into play. But modernizing and transforming is really critical in understanding that it's a key challenge, but you need to have the right resources and the right change management and all that in place to make sure there's a seamless transition. And that's something that we're very focused on. I think too the mind shift around a single platform. So the managed account industry had this best of breed approach where they would go to one place for a UMA, another place for potentially a rep as PM program. There is a big, and Cerulli talks about this a lot. There's a big push to a single portfolio, a single platform.
Yep.
And I think, it's a mind shift changed, but there's firms out there that can actually support that now, right? So we support all managed account programs, as do others. I think that you need that. You need to have that single platform so you can have true customization, you can have true scale, which I don't think existed in the past, but today it does. So I think that's a big change and a big mindset change, getting UMA into one place. But it's really proving the technology could really make access to these different solutions better and without sacrificing quality, without sacrificing control, how it could all be done leveraging a single platform. It's our job as industry leaders to educate and make sure that that transformation change that has to happen inside some of these firms that are resistant to change is really key. Education, strategic partnerships, right? Delivering real results. So I think it's all in demonstrating how technology can actually do that. But I think the industry's ready.
What if financial planning wasn't just about numbers, but about you, your values, your goals, your vision for the future? Nomi is transforming client discovery for wealth managers, going beyond assets and risk scores to uncover what truly matters. With behavioral insights and real-time data, Nomi helps advisors personalize advice, build deeper connections, and grow their businesses. Because the best financial decisions start with knowing you. Discover the future of client engagement at nomi.com. So an off-script kind of follow-up question on that one. And this was very much a huge part of my focus back in 2018 when I was at InvestCloud. And we were like, what could be the fully integrated, interoperable wealth stack? And I think what we kept bumping into was incentive model. And so you have different companies that have different incentives, and a lot of them are quite happy with the friction. They're happy with the legacy platforms because the incentive models haven't necessarily kept pace with the value that strategic partnerships introduce, that interoperability introduces to the end client, or even to the supply chain, the advisors' clients. So how have you kind of faced, just in your experience, thinking through these challenges within the industry, not only the strategic partnership, the tech that's coming and disrupting, but the incentives?
And that's a great question, right? Because look at the fee structures out there today are they're pretty legacy, right? When you think about all this. So I think firms are looking at ways in which, like I said before, they have to do more with less. They have to incent the right behaviors. They have to look at how they're incenting advisors, right? As they're managing these big books of business. We're not there yet, right? I think that's going to take some time. But one of the things that, I mean, just this is a little bit off your question, but one of the things that we're very focused on helping our clients understand is if they move into this single platform or this UMA construct or whatever new technologies they might need, we have to show them that it's going to drive better cost, better operational efficiencies for them. Nobody today wants to take on more and add a lot more headcount. Right. And I think that helps. I mean, just from, the overall cost and how they're compensating for that. But that is one of the biggest, I think we're doing some case studies. We're looking at, what our system can do to drive operational efficiency. We're looking at how a single platform incents firms to move because it's less costly, and even how they work with their end clients different. If you could educate on how you're driving better cost down to our clients so they can actually look differently at how they incent, that's a big change, right? So I think there's so much change that has to happen to make sure that firms are efficient in operations, that we automate as much as possible. The data is key, and data is accessible to whomever needs it. Like, all that drives a better incentive plan.
And at the end of the day, we are in business, and the business has to have a profit. Everyone is looking at, how do I grow my business? How do I find more efficiency in my business? One of the things I know you have backed for a very, very long time is the importance of diversity in business, and that diversity is good for business. And you have done a lot personally to help serve not only underserved demographics as clients, but to help promote women, to promote other demographics through. And I know you put your money where your mouth is in the way that you construct your own teams and every initiative that you get involved in. So as you look at wealth transfer and how it's impacting our industry, how do you shine a light on those blind spots where we are still very much looked at from the outside as we're kind of just built for the very traditional, very monolithic customer that is not generally run with an eye toward diversity?
Yeah, this is one of my favorite questions because we've been talking about this wealth transfer for quite some time, but I think it's finally taking hold. And I also think, to your point, Marla, it does drive the whole look at who we actually serve, right? So I think it definitely is going to present one of the biggest industry shifts that we've ever seen, right? I think both in scale and in the changing expectations when you think about the next generation. So this is where I think you and I get excited, right? Over the next couple of decades, trillions of dollars will shift from baby boomers to Gen X, millennials, and Gen Z. Our CEO, Jeff Ibuki, also says, like, who's going to win this is really the grandchildren, right? Like, of our grandchildren, just because there's that whole, shift of who you're going to give your money to. It's not just about wealth changing hands. It's about a fundamental shift in how financial service needs to operate. And to your point, we need to be able to serve a more diverse, digitally native, and values-driven client base. And I think that's like the key to what needs to happen when you think about this shift in wealth and this wealth transfer. It's a huge opportunity. It's really an opportunity for firms to focus on the traditionally underserved demographics. Women, right? Women, like, we know all the stats on women. They're the breadwinners in the family. They're going to outlive, right? They're the ones that are going to have the money. Younger investors, I don't think there's enough focus on that. And then diverse communities. So I think much of this industry, as you said, has been built around a one-size-fits-all approach. It's really designed for older, high net worth men, but that is changing, right? The next generation of wealth holders expect personalization, digital first engagement, and alignment with their values. That includes alternatives in their portfolio, right? That's what the next generation is looking for. They want a more diversified portfolio. They want impact-driven financial planning. They want seamless mobile experiences. So I think the firms that fail to adapt to these preferences, they really risk losing relevance. I mean, I would go that far in saying that. It's a blind spot for many firms. They're still focusing their efforts on the current wealth holders. They're not building relationships with the next gen. I know my advisor is building relationships with my kids. My advisor has a male, a female, and then his daughter actually is an advisor who's facing off with my kids. Very smart, right?
Yeah.
So it's just that teaming aspect. And also, studies show that when wealth transfers, the kids switch advisors. They never had a relationship with them. So it's really a wake up call. And how do you do that, right? How do you rethink engagement? How do you focus on multi-generational planning? How do you have tech-driven solutions that make it more inclusive, the approach to financial advice? So the firms that thrive are those that just don't react to this transfer, but they're actively pursuing it and they're trying to figure out how to make it something that works for them. And I think, that's where the real transformation is going to be, when you have a ability to serve a more diverse and digitally native investor base. There's a whole way that you approach women versus men and all that when you're thinking about building technology and solutions to make it easier. But I think this wealth transfer is a big opportunity for those of us who have been focusing on this for our entire career.
Yeah, I love what you said, and amen to what you said. So you said personalization, digitization, and alignment with values, and I just thought that was perfect. And the fact that people want bigger menus, and that the industry is facing that they're not just facing a loss of profits, they're facing irrelevance. There's a massive blind spot here that is keeping them from engaging exactly the clients that they should be engaging. So I love that.
Yes, and it's like, to me, so we can go on about this forever, but to me, it's like so important, right? Because it's happening. It's happening now, and I think it's just so critical to have the right strategy and focus on just this wealth transfer.
Yeah. So looking back at your career, which is so impressive, what is the legacy that you hope to leave behind on the wealth management industry? And what impact do you think that UMAs and SMAs as well have had on impact? You've talked a lot about how they empower individual investors. You've done so much. And what is it that you would like, to be written about you later?
Yeah, I've done so much. I've been so fortunate in my career to be able to do so much and have the best people and the best clients and all that. But I really hope that my legacy is one of transformation, right? That I thought of as somebody who helped modernize wealth management by making investing more personalized, which we talked about, more accessible, more aligned to what truly matters. Like, that's something that really, to me, is making sure that this industry understands the investor and what truly matters to that individual. This industry has been built on rigid structures, like you said, right? My goal has been to break down those barriers through technology, innovation, and advocacy, right? So a big part of that is what we talked about, the evolution of SMAs and UMAs, and going from product driven to really customized, tax efficient, goal-based, client-driven, client-centric solutions versus product. And I'm proud of the work I'm starting to do around bringing private markets down to the retail level. That's going to be a big opportunity for this industry. I'm really proud of that. But lastly, I think beyond innovation, I'm incredibly passionate about supporting women in financial services, whether through mentorship, advocacy, creating pathways for the next generation of female leaders. That to me is like, I want to be thought of from a business perspective of innovation and modernization and driving change, but also I really want to make sure that the work I've done isn't for naught, right? That we continue to see this big push for diverse leadership teams and business teams, because as you and I both know, right, the more diverse, the better the outcome, because you get diverse. And I mean, if you have everybody who looks like you and talks like you and thinks like you don't get any diversity brought into the room, which is I think, a mistake. So I made it a priority to elevate and empower women. I really want my legacy to be that women play a big role in shaping the future of wealth management. I don't want to be known for just transforming wealth management, leaving the industry more inclusive, more accessible, and better aligned with the evolving need of all investors that are out there. So,
yeah, I think as anyone who knows you can attest, you don't just say it, you actually do it. You have actions that go behind everything that you just said, which I think has given you that reputation in the industry that has been so well deserved. So second to last question is, you were an early believer in what we were building at Nomi. You and I met years ago. I had been thinking about Nomi probably for the last 5 or so years, and then really just kind of took the leap 2 years ago, and you were one of my first calls. And so you were incredibly supportive at that time. You were very supportive of the idea of kind of improving client discovery. I'm curious if you wouldn't mind sharing why.
I mean, just the beginning of my early stage conversations with you, right? You were ahead of, look at what we're talking about, this whole podcast around personalization and knowing the investor and wealth transfer. You were ahead of the game because you truly understood that data and getting down to the individual person was so critical in putting the right focus on the investments, right? So I think when I think about what you've done and I think about the data that you collect and your focus on making sure that you know me, right? That you really know as an advisor who you're serving is so critical. And I think you were early stage in that, right? Really early. And I think you're about to see that, right? As you get more into the enterprise and all. I think that's what got me excited when I mean, my values, right? Go understand who you're working with and knowing the person and getting to know them and delving into what makes them tick. That's really what you've done, right? But from an investment angle.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate that. And the last question on our podcast is always, what is one instance in your life or a conversation that you have had that has changed your personal relationship with money?
This is a story I like to tell. And it's when I was young, so I was probably 10 years old, but I'll never forget this. And from that moment on, I never wanted to be in this situation. But my sister and I were in a dance class that my mom put us in. And there was a big audition coming up, not an audition, where you get on stage, where you have to showcase everything that you've learned, right?
Yeah. Recital.
A recital, but you had to buy the outfit from the place to be in this recital. My mother couldn't afford an outfit for my sister and I. So we put all this effort into getting ready for this recital and we couldn't participate. And I was like 10 years old. And honestly, from that moment on, I always said, I'm not going to let that happen to me. And my mother my parents were phenomenal, right? In everything that they did. My mom made every single outfit that we wore and she washed every diaper, everything right on her own. But when I think about that, that really was one of those things in my mind. And I still go back to that in my mind and play that over. Right. I want to make sure how important money is, right, to giving you what you need, right? And what it could be anything from a recital, right, to a beach house, right? It could be anything, but that how important money is to getting you to where you want to be.
Yeah. What a powerful story. And a very powerful reminder that our own relationship with money starts so young. It starts with those earliest recollections of how money started to become something conscious in our lives. Yeah, that's
a great way to say it, though. It really is. It's so young. This wealth transfer is important.
Yeah. This conversation, Cheryl, has been absolutely incredible. I'm so grateful to you for sharing your wisdom, your experience, your vision of the future, your integrity, which you've, kind of shown every day as you are focused on personalized wealth management. And it's been core to everything that you've built. Your career has been a masterclass in innovation, from pioneering SMAs and UMAs to shaping how advisors engage with technology. What stands out the most to me is your focus on people and how many people have just fawned over how incredible you've been as a leader, as a manager, as somebody to talk to look up to engage with. And you've ensured that financial tech enhances personalization and deepens trust and empowers everyone within this ecosystem to make more informed decisions for the purpose of why we're here in the first place, the people. Right. And if today's conversation sparked something for our audience, take a moment to ask, are your financial tools truly built around you? Are they built around your clients? Are they personal, dynamic, reflective of your goals? Are you incorporating private markets into your UMAs? Because that is the future that Cheryl is building right now, where wealth management isn't just about numbers. It's around aligning tech with human aspirations. So Cheryl, is there anything that you want to share about where anyone who's listening to this can learn more about APL, about what your innovations are, about this new innovation as it relates to private markets?
Yes. So thank you for that. I really had a good time on this podcast. So thank you for inviting me. So yes, InvestCloud.com is our website. There's a private market section on that, and there's an APL section. So that would be where I would say that's where you should go. I'm on LinkedIn. So Cheryl Nash on LinkedIn. I'm happy to connect to anybody who'd like to connect. And I'm also available, email. So I would if anybody wants to talk about anything that I said today, please reach out. And Marla, this was really fun. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you so much, Cheryl. And for everyone listening also, what is one way that you'd like to make your financial experience feel more personable? So drop it in the comments, DM me, reach out to myself or to Cheryl. Thank you, Cheryl.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on the Knowing Me, Knowing You podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. Your support helps us bring more transformative conversations to you. Until next time, keep discovering, keep growing, And remember, you're in control of your own financial story. Follow us for more conversations on financial confidence, self-discovery, and the future of money.